Alrighty, people, what is happening? Appreciate y'all for being here with us. We've got a great stream for you, and today's stream is going to be completely dedicated to reviewing your Dynasty teams, getting you your team playbook, getting a game plan for the offseason. We appreciate you being here with us. What's up, Nick? Nick, what's your team name? I'll tell you if we are likely to or to not get to yours today. We'll try and knock out as many as we possibly can, of course. Two that are in the queue are offline, and we've already reviewed theirs. But, yeah, excited to be here with you guys. What's up, Womper? Says, do I trade my 104 for Bucky or draft one of the top 3 running backs depending on draft capital or landing spot? I mean, that's really an impossible question to answer at this point, simply because, I mean, what if we have 3 running backs go in the first round? It'd be hard not to argue first-round draft capital, 5 years on the books, that situation. I think if you redid the draft from last year, Bucky's definitely a second-round pick, if not higher. So it's a tough one to really answer. I think if you can get Bucky plus something for the 104, then I would do it pretty easily. Actually just sold Bucky myself yesterday or 2 days ago in one of our leagues, and basically sent Jameson and the 112. Mixed reviews in the comments of that, as always, but I felt pretty good about it. So yeah, that's kind of the range at the moment. What's up, Faulty? What's happening? What's up, Styles?
How are we feeling? Yeah,
we've got Scribbles in the building. We will try to get to as many of you guys' questions, but we want to make sure and stay dedicated to the goal of today's stream, which is, again, to help as many people with their Dynasty teams as possible. Be a friend, hit that like button to show some love. We see you, Ward Daddy. What's up in the chat? Got a like goal today of 50 likes. With your help, I think we can get it. We're already 1/5 of the way there. Appreciate you guys for being here. But we are going to get to people's reviews today. And there's a couple ways that you can get your team reviewed. All right. The first way is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. A lot of people today are yearly Mother Flocker members. And when you become a yearly member, you get our 2025 rookie report. I need to update that graphic on my end. You get a team playbook, obviously, which will be completely customized to your league. A complete game plan for your offseason, telling you exactly what the best moves to make are for you, what to do with your draft capital, the pathway forward for your team. Of course, again, available when you become a yearly member. You also get all the premium tools on the website, right? So the website is better than it's ever been. There's so many great tools on the site now. We're very, very proud of it. Now, the other option is by, let's say you're already a member on a different promo code, or you don't want to become a yearly member for whatever reason, then you can also buy a team playbook just with like the store. All right. So, and this is what that would look like. It'll take you to a site that looks like this. All right. Once you're there, you'll hit team review. If you haven't linked up your team, I would definitely suggest to do so. Sleeper, ESPN, Yahoo. If you're on an MFL league, upload screenshots and just your MFL ID, and we can have a look at it. But assuming you've already linked your teams, go continue. Obviously, select your team in the league. Make sure the rookie picks are correct. If they're not, then adjust them. Hit continue, and then you'll see Zach and Badaki here from Fantasyland. All right, the baseline is an offline review. It's just $10 more to prioritize yourself on the live stream. Completely up to you, whichever way you prefer. A lot of people prefer offline because they don't want their league to see it, but some people obviously love the live review. A lot of people love the live reviews as well. So those are the 2 ways you can get it done. Appreciate you guys for being here again. Man. Smash that like button to show some love. First team we're looking at today is Ryan Shields. And before we get into that, we do have a super chat. I obviously want to prioritize people if they're super chatting. Why don't you read that super chat out for us real quick?
Did you start stream?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, great. Appreciate you, Mark G. He says trade Justin Jefferson for Neighbors and the 101, which is Ashton Genty. So you're getting Malik Neighbors and Ashton Genty, 12-team super flex. Other wide receivers are T, Drake, Jennings, running back, Barkley, Jacobs, Monty. Championship just shaking it up.
Oh yeah, you would trade Justin Jefferson for Neighbors and the 101?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no question.
I'm shocked that you can get that much still for Jefferson. Not to say that he's not worthy of like a haul, But neighbors, some people might have them right by each other in rankings. So that's
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer for me. I
What's
love it.
happening, G Money? How
What's
you
up, G
doing,
Money?
brother?
Yeah, welcome in. Appreciate you, Mark, for the question. All right, so this is a middle ground lineup. It's a start 10 here for Ryan Shields. Start 10, meaning he either has 3 starting wide receivers and 2 flex, or 2 wide receivers starting and 3 flex. Either way, you can start up to 5 wide receivers in this league. It's half PPR. It's a 10 team, so a little bit of a smaller league. Go ahead and read the context for us here.
Yeah. He says I have a 25, 103, and the 106, the 206, and so he's telling us his picks. I also have 2 first and 26. I know I need to upgrade running back. Okay, like Zach said, this is a middle ground, and he's currently ranked 3 out of 10. Tanking my way downtown is his team name. It is super flex. So Patrick Mahomes, Michael Penix, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, some great quarterbacks there that you can continue to build off of, especially Michael Penix having to start going into the 2025 season at the running back position. Like you did mention, weak at the running back position, but you do have Tyrone Tracy, Tony Pollard, Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, the list goes on there. A lot of guys where their pathways are still unknown, right? What's going to happen with Tracy? Are they going to draft another running back? Where's Najee Harris going to go if he doesn't sign with the Steelers? Tony Pollard is going to have a new quarterback. Travis Etienne, the fall off was tremendous.
Yeah.
Anything can happen there with potentially Liam Cohen going to the Jacksonville Jaguars potentially. And at the wide receiver position, Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, and then honestly the rest, nothing else, right? I mean, all due respect and RIP to Tank Dell, to really just Tank Dell in that wide receiver room with Travis Kelce, Dallas Goedert.
Yeah. Great wide receivers at the top 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Start 10. So like his starting lineup is probably a combination of like Mahomes, Goff maybe at this point, then I guess Tracy Pollard. Then you've got Puka Neighbors, Kelce. Then we have 3 more flexes, which would be Brian Thomas. And it really gets confusing after that. You know, I guess we could say Najee maybe, if Travis Etienne, if his career gets revived with Liam Cohen, if Liam is going to go to Jacksonville. It looks like it's likely, but we'll have to keep following up on that. But yeah, I mean, decent. Again, he has the 103, 106, and 206. So these draft picks are not correct here, the ones that are showing. So, but I have that written down here with what we can do with that draft capital.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a good amount of draft capital to make some noise here. The 103, the 106, I think you definitely need to replenish the running back room. And we could probably use some of these quarterbacks in trades to get some more depth at wide receiver. And I would like to get a tight end, but you don't have to. I mean, there's a chance Kelce plays a couple more years, and, Goddard can be a flexible name at this point, So it's not something that we absolutely have to do, But yeah, overall team grade. The assortment of assets is interesting. I'd say probably, considering the draft capital and the quarterback room, which hopefully we can use at our advantage, and the wide receiver strength, you're probably like B-.
Yep, I like that. That's kind of where I was going to go.
He's got 26 first-round picks, which is nice. He's got, obviously, the 2 this year. I mean, draft capital's got to be an A. So that's good news. As far as your untouchables, I'd probably say that's most of your wide receiver room, right? Your Puka, Neighbors, Thomas. In a 10-team league, I just don't see a scenario where we are advocating for you to tear down from these names, right? I think those are the guys, your pillars that are winning you your championships. As far as holds, Tracy is interesting. I think if you can sell him for like a late first, like 110 onwards, great. If not, I think you hold him.
Is that what he's going for right now, though? I feel like
it depends. It depends on the person buying. I mean, I bought Tracy for a late first in season, like when I was competing.
Sure.
This was like week 16, 17, or week 13, 14. I won a championship with it because CMC went down. But it depends on the person. right?
Sure.
So yeah, I think he's interesting. He's kind of like this risky hold. I definitely think Penix is a hold. And at this point, Darnold is a hold because he's going to sign a contract somewhere. As far as drops, you can probably drop Demarcus Robinson at this point. MVS is droppable. Those would be my main two at this point. Clyde is droppable. Rasheen Ali is droppable if you need, you know.
Some more names.
So yeah.
Okay.
You're good, LOL JK. You're good. That's his username, by the way. I'm not saying LOL JK out loud. But anyway, team
I was like, wait, what happened?
Team pathway here. I think this feels very much sleeper to me.
Yeah, this is sleeper. There's a couple moves he needs to make. Obviously, you're not on like the older team.
Yeah.
I guess spectrum, but
you're right in the mix if you make a couple moves.
Right in there, no question about it.
All right, I think we should use either Mahomes. I think Mahomes is probably the best quarterback to use because, quite frankly, no disrespect to him, but I don't see a drastic difference between him and Jared Goff in fantasy right now for the next couple of years. And I think Mahomes is going to get you more value in return. And if we remove Mahomes from the equation, we still have Penix, Goff, and Darnold. I feel good about that quarterback room. And, you know, I just don't see Mahomes ever being like quarterback one conversation again. I could be wrong. I could be missing the mark here. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I think they have a formula to win, and that formula could change. But I just think he's the name that's going to bring the most returns. So I think we could probably trade Mahomes.
Yep.
And there are still people out there who will pay a premium for him, you know, and rightfully so. Like, he's just a secure player. I'd like to start by looking at teams that are quarterback needy. For example, Ruffalo Soldiers has 3 quarterbacks, but none that are as good as Mahomes. And they also have Drake London. Would you do like a London? Could we try and get London McBride somehow?
That's what I say. I like McBride here because he has Andrews as well.
And maybe before the season, you would be able to sell Mahomes for that package alone. But I think you'd have to add like Travis Kelce probably here. And you might even need to add like a Najee Harris to get this done.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that?
I'm 1,000% okay with that.
I think that makes a ton of sense for your team. London McBride, that also gives you the ability to, if you wanted to, use all the picks you have on running backs, you know, or gives you the flexibility if you want to move London for a running back. I really think that makes a ton of sense for him. Frodo Flagons might be the most obvious team that needs quarterback help with Josh Allen and no one else at the moment. Now, I don't hate the idea of like a Higgins Achane,
yeah.
Yeah. And that feels like you'd have to offer less as well to get it done. Like maybe all you need to offer is Najee Harris alongside of that. But I would also probably pay the 206 on top, or yeah, we want to keep Kelce if we do this because we don't have another tight end. But I'd pay the 206 on top to get that done if need be. But yeah, I think now that we're talking this through, there's a ton of flexibility with this team.
Yeah, with trading Mahomes alone, and you can get one of these deals done hypothetically, that automatically changes your team. Like, you get Drake London McBride, not only do you get more depth at the wide receiver position, which you need, but you also get another tight end, which is tremendous here. Like, it's huge for your team because you have Travis and Dallas, but then you have a top 3 tight end, which is pretty significant.
I think J Money Mitchell he looks eligible, but then you look at his team and I'm not sure there's a deal that makes a lot of sense. Like, do we go
unless you go future first or something?
Yeah, one of Marvin or Ladd in a future first.
Yeah.
Probably Marvin is the easier one.
Yeah, I'll be okay with that as well because you're still going to get another asset in 2026. You're still getting the depth there as well.
We could try to go like a Brees Hall and a Dunze range. That's probably one of those you can do straight up. I think you might be able to get even more. For example, like, can you get a future first on that if you offer your 206, for example? You know, or Najee, or you know, just what is there a player or an asset that gets that done for you? I think it's worth looking at. And then maybe Tuscan Raiders is the best team with like a Jonathan Taylor Hubbard combination.
You're getting running backs.
It's not. I don't think that's ideal. Actually, I'm gonna recant my statement. I feel like those are the best options to move Mahomes. I think he's gonna get the biggest return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like that as well. And then look, if Sam Darnold does sign a long-term contract, and then actually you have Sam Darnold. I thought you had JJ as well. Never mind.
Yeah. What is Mahomes currently valued at on KTC?
Let me see.
He's currently quarterback 6. That is kind of surprising, actually. Maybe I am undervaluing Mahomes a little bit. I mean, in my rankings, he's my quarterback 10. This is expert consensus, so I am lower than consensus, which is weird being a Chiefs fan. But yeah, I think I could probably put him over Love, but after that, I just don't feel a great need to put him over any of these other names.
I just think if in our community, it's a little bit tougher because, I mean, let me just triple check. I feel like he went in the second round in our startup that we had the other day. Am I tripping about that?
I don't think you're tripping.
Okay, no,
brother.
he went.
I mean, could you get?
He went in 109. So
can you add Joe Mixon to this Marvin deal? I don't know. You know, like I really don't think Badaki, you and I would. If this deal sent into our inbox, we would probably laugh at it.
100%.
But you know, we've got people in the comments saying you can get more, so we'll give
that's
a range.
Well, obviously he's probably gonna watch this live. When you do get the notification, just know, Ryan, test the market with Patrick Mahomes with maybe even more than what we're giving you as options right now, because
I also think, Badaki, that because it's a 10 team, it's probably going to be harder to sell Mahomes. So there's a little bit of balance there. Like, less people will really need a quarterback, especially when they view Mahomes as a non-difference maker, which is, look, I guess that's the wrong way to phase it, but like he's.
But the thing is, like, there's not that many
if Sam
teams
Darnold
that have...
stayed in Minnesota for 2 years, would you really think there's that big of a difference between them in fantasy football? No. You know, if Tua stays healthy and Tyreek's there for the next 2 years, do you really think there's that big of a difference in fantasy between Mahomes and Tua? For me, no. If Dak Prescott's healthy next year, no, not very much of a difference, you know? So I just don't think people really view him in that tier. But again, we'll give you the range of outcome options there. I like any of these deals, honestly. I think if you get any one of these deals done, it really puts you maybe more into a contender rather than a sleeper if you get some of them done. But it's good to hear all POVs. You like POV?
Favorite. It's my favorite, actually.
All right. So if you stick and pick, you're in this range, right?
Hampton,
Caleb Johnson, Henderson. And I would probably say you and I would really be advocating to get running back with these picks. Ideally, you hit it back to back if that's Caleb and Travion or whatever that looks like. And then, you know, the 206, we just reviewed a team today, and I think he had a similar pick. Yeah, he did. So let me bring this over. This is kind of the range of running back you're looking at there. And then from that point onwards, it's really kind of pointless to have these conversations this early. But maybe what you do is you use the 103 and you draft your favorite running back, you know, and then you use the 106 to trade for a veteran. Or, you know, one of these picks, you know, you trade for a vet. Because you're not really in tear down range. I guess you could tear down from the 103 and
103 to something, but
yeah, like for example, if you wanted to go from the 103, all you want to do is stay in the 104 to the 107 range plus a future first if that's on the table, if that's an offer. But if we are to trade the 106 for a veteran, you and I literally just went through this entire process. Actually, it's
I think
it's this range of like your Bucky Irvings, Jonathan Taylors, Josh Jacobs. I would feel ecstatic if I added Bucky with the 106 and then drafted like a Caleb Johnson at the 103 or a Henderson at the 103. You know, because now we've got Bucky, Hampton, or Johnson, as well as Tracy. And if we do one of these Mahomes deals, we might also add a Mixon or an HN or, so.
Yeah. And I think that this can even help you. Like, you probably won't even have to use the 106 for running back, and maybe there's Luther Burden there and you like that landing spot because Tyrone Tracy of the Giants didn't draft another running back.
Yeah.
So Tyrone Tracy is clearly going to be the starter for next year. So like, there's going to be a lot of different ways this is going to be working out for you. It just all depends on what happens in the NFL draft, which is going to be huge.
I love this team. The more we talk about it, like just the pure potential of different moves that you can make. Excuse me, I'm really obsessed with, and I think this is exactly the path I'd take, my friend. We use Mahomes. I don't even need a quarterback back in a deal. I just don't need a quarterback back. We talked about all the different running backs that you can get. Let's just play out this scenario real quick and talk about your lineup. I mean, I really like the Mixon deal. I like the McBride deal. I like Bucky. Is there one you want to really highlight there? Jacobs might be good. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think they're all pretty. I like the Joe Mixon one. I do Brees Hall for Roma Dunze. I think let's highlight that one.
So let's just say that you sold Mahomes, Kelsey, and Najee for London and McBride. All right, and then you got Bucky Irving for the 106. Okay, and then you spent the 103 on Caleb Johnson. This is like a hypothetical scenario if these three deals, out of all the deals we talked about, were to pan out. Okay, so we don't have Mahomes, Kelsey, or Najee. We don't have the 106. But what we do have is Bucky, Caleb Johnson, along with Tracy Pollard. That's a pretty good room there. We've also got London now as our wide receiver 4, as well as McBride as our tight end 1. That's ridiculous. That's a stacked team. I mean, you're definitely contending straight away. Their starting lineup would be Goff Darnold or Goff Penix, as well as your Hampton Buckies, maybe Tracy in there, your Puka Neighbors, your McBride, and then with your other flex you have your Brian Thomas, your London. You've got so much flexibility there. So I'm a big fan of this team, man, and I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, great team, Ryan. Please let us know if you have. Well, you're not here with us, but you will be receiving this customized playbook within 48 to 72 hours. All the information that we did talk about here today, as you can see, all the information, positional rankings, positional priorities, untouchables, all that is going to be customized to your team, which is awesome. Once again, you'll be getting that within 48 to 72 hours on the Flock Fantasy message system.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. We appreciate you, man.
And again, if you want your team playbook, there's 2 ways you can get it. First way is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. That is definitely by far the best bang for your buck. You get the team review. You also get, obviously, our 2025 rookie report, all the premium tools on the website, and discounts off future purchases on the Flock store, by the way. The other way is, if you're already a member on a different promo code, you can sign up via the Flock store. Just make sure you get the live tier if that is what you're looking for, the live review. The offline one is the base price. All right. Let's get to Chrono here. Chrono in the building.
I just think of Incredibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think how can you not,
Yeah, honestly.
We grew up on the
Mrs. Incredible. I mean, every day.
Oh, my gosh.
Every day for Mrs. Incredible.
Why that thick, though? Disney. I mean, let's have a conversation. What was the point of her being that thick?
Disney like him thick,
All right, so this is a 12-team start 9, but it's a 1 quarterback.
1 quarterback, okay.
So that makes this a middle ground lineup. You probably have 3 flex spots. Either way, you can start up to 5 receivers, most likely. But half PPR. Go ahead and read this out for us.
Another half PPR. Okay. Appreciate you for the support. Thank you so much. It says I managed to pull out the win this past year, but that was due to a lot of injury luck and top game luck in the last 3 weeks. I need some running back depth, but in a one quarterback league, I do need a quarterback upgrade. Or do I need a quarterback upgrade? This is a question. It says I think 3 running backs go before I pick. Do I go tight end and running back in my first 2 picks? Any advice appreciated? Okay.
Well,
All right.
first off, congratulations. I mean, it doesn't matter how you win the championship. There won't be an asterisk next to your name that says "got lucky" or something. You know, you'll go down in history as a champion, and no one else will think of it differently. So congratulations, first off. But let's look through the squad. Go ahead and take us through it.
Yeah.
Good amount of draft capital, by the way.
Yeah, great amount of draft capital. Tana Thrill. Titans. Saying that right, maybe.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Will Levis. Why would you question your quarterback room if you have Bo Nix? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, that's a good
You're not
room.
a believer in Bo Nix in the one quarterback room? I think you are absolutely fine.
From week 8 onwards, week 5 onwards, I think Bo Nix actually outscored Jaden Daniels. Fun fact.
Oh, interesting. At the running back position, Bucky Irving, Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, Blake Corum, Jonathan Brooks, and the list goes on there. So you have 2 running backs we do like in Bucky and Chuba Hubbard. I know you were questioning. It says I need some running back depth. Okay.
I'd almost argue that he needs another superstar rather than depth, but
yeah, we'll have the conversation at the wide receiver room. Malik, BTJ, Drake London, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, Jerry Judy, and the list goes on with the tight end at Jake Ferguson. With great draft capital, I'm just thinking about what you were asking for. It says I need running back depth. I need a quarterback upgrade. You don't. I think 3 running backs go before I pick.
He definitely doesn't need a quarterback upgrade. He definitely needs to address tight end and add another running back. I mean, you add another running back and add a legit tight end, I don't think there's really another need on this team.
No, absolutely not.
A very good team.
Just looking at these other guys like Chicken, Caleb, Kyler, Jameer, Bijan, Chase Brown, Joe Mixon. He has good depth.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's wide receiver room can't touch yours, right? I mean,
no way. He doesn't even have a tight end either, but he has a 104, 106.
Team 2 is probably the best team on paper to win next year, but you're definitely right in there. I mean, this is...
100%.
I mean, let's think through the starting lineup, right? Nix, Bucky, Chuba, Neighbors, Thomas, I guess Jake Ferguson, London, Jason, Judy. That's already a pretty good lineup. If Dobbins gets a role next year... Sorry, just an update on the Liam Cohen situation. The Bucks offered Liam Cohen a 3-year deal on Monday to make him the highest paid coordinator in the NFL, contingent on not taking the second interview with the Jags. That was the reason for the secrecy in Jacksonville on Thursday. That is so dodgy. What is going on? Okay, sorry. Anyway, so this is a good team, man. And a good amount of draft capital as well to really make some noise. I have no doubts I think this is a contender.
Yeah, I think it's a contender as well.
Probably B+ roster. I think the tight end room really doesn't let you put the A tag on this. But probably a B roster, wouldn't you say? Or B+.
I think it's B+. Yeah, I think this team can definitely be an A.
Yeah,
to nearly A+, or an A in after the NFL draft capital.
But what I did just notice is we don't have our 26th first round pick, and that's actually going to put me in a windows open mindset here. I do not see any reason not to compete this year and go all out. Meaning, I would go trade for a vet like a Josh Jacobs. I would go trade for a JT. You know, I would go trade for a Mike Evans in this league, because again, there's going to be absolutely no benefit whatsoever without your own first and 26 to not try and win it all this year. So I am actually going to call this windows open, but it's a young window. Maybe you can put that in the graphic, young windows open, but there's just no reason not to go out and be aggressive this year. And that might even impact the way I approach the rookie draft and what picks I use and don't. But your untouchables, Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Your holds, for me at least, include Jerry Judy, Bucky Irving. I would also put Blake Corum as a hold. and De'Ami Brown. Actually, I've tried to pick up De'Ami Brown in every Dynasty League with this runnings going on right now. In fact, I haven't actually updated his rankings since the regular season finished.
Judy Bucky, De'Ami Brown, and who else? Oh, Blake Corum, you said.
Yeah, Blake Corum, because, it's not uncommon for these... it's not uncommon for these running backs in McVay's system to just need a year. I mean, if you look at Kyron Williams as a rookie, he did nothing. Blake Corum's a good player. I still believe Blake Corum's a very good player.
Drops for me, give you 2 drops. I would say Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, Matt Moss is on a long-term deal, and there's no long-term deal for Herbert. Actually, Herbert might get an interesting contract.
I would drop
Spencer.
Spencer Rattler and then Sean Tucker.
I mean, I might just drop the 2 quarterbacks, Levis and Rattler, and keep the rest because there's just so much uncertainty this offseason. I mean, let's be honest, in a 1-quarterback league, Levis and Rattler.
I guess, my thing would be if the Titan... I'm happy to drop Spencer, and this is more in the sense of I'm happy if the Titans do draft or don't draft a quarterback, then that means most likely they're going with Will unless they don't make a move in free agency. So I would rather keep Will.
Okay. Then I would rather drop Gus and Cam than the other 2 names, oddly enough, as I'm thinking it through.
Okay.
I'd rather drop Rattler and Gus or Rattler and Akers.
I would say this then. If the Vikings don't draft another running back, which we will be 1,000% surprised if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, big time.
You can hold Cam Akers. This all has to happen after the NFL draft, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing with the Chargers. If the Chargers don't draft another running back, you might have to keep Gus Edwards then again. So then you can just drop Sean Tucker and Spencer Rattler. So as long as we're on the same page in understanding that.
In agreement. Just quickly, Jackson left a comment here. Guy traded all of his players for 27 first and has 7. What should I do as a commish? Nothing. Just there's not. I mean, if there's nothing in your bylaws against stacking up draft picks, which there shouldn't be, by the way, because if that's this guy's strategy and he wants to build towards 2027, he is burning his buy-in for the next 3 years, probably, right? So, I mean, as a commish, I wouldn't do anything. I mean, this guy is trying to load up for 2027. It's a strategy. If there's nothing in your bylaws against it, I don't see a reason to really take any action. It's, again, he probably needs to field a roster, but if you have no clear bylaws and rules in your league, he's not breaking any rules, So, I don't have a problem with it. Now, as far as Tanathril Titans, I'm going to get pretty aggressive with these picks. I want to send... I was going to start talking about Bucky Irving, but we already have him. But, the 107, I definitely think I want to send that away for a veteran running back. If I can somehow net a Josh Jacobs, which might be harder in a 1-quarterback, full transparency. But it's kind of the same range of what we just talked about. The 106 and the 107... they should not be valued that differently. And we just talked about this range, which you already have Bucky Irving, so I know that's not as helpful. But your JT and Josh Jacobs range, I think those guys would be great additions to this roster. And, you've already got a great starting lineup with Bucky and Chuba, but they would just be, they would just really solidify your run here.
In my perspective, I was going to say maybe he needs to go for a tight end because in the 105 with the 107 in a 1-quarterback league because of how desperate he does need one.
I think that is definitely a possibility depending on draft capital and
if you get
expectations from your league mates, you know what I mean?
If Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland go in the first round, I think in a 1-quarterback league, they're not going to get past that 107. That's actually the sweet spot maybe for it. Depending on draft capital, of course.
I think if you could hold off till the 107, that would be my preference. But because even the 107 is a little bit early for a tight end. You know what I mean? So I think if he can hold off to the 107, then I'd be very interested. Yeah. But let's just talk through all the scenarios. So if you're at the 105 to the 107, I think, at least for me, like it is that same range of like Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, whoever's left over. He said
Yeah.
he believes that there will be 3 running backs drafted before he picks, meaning Genty and one of these two. So basically,
Genty
I'm saying
Marion, Caleb, yeah.
whoever's left over, you know. But at the 107, you could
We could
definitely
probably break that down, actually.
I mean, I would almost have a goal of like trying to turn all these picks into like a late first for a tight end. You know, the 203, the 206, the 210. And keep in mind, it's a 10-team league, so the 203 is technically the 201. Surely you can package the 210 in these late seconds to get like 109 range, and then get a tight end here, and then add another impact player after that. So,
I mean, yeah, we can definitely try that for sure.
so for example, 203 plus the 210 plus the 212. If we can find our range here with like the 108 to the 109, I really don't think it's worth it outside of that. You have to get one of those 2 picks. But that really gives you a little more flexibility here. But you're right. Like, Loveland should be a priority. Warren should be a priority here if need be. I mean, would you not send the 107 for Laporta if possible?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was looking into next. In a 1 quarterback 107, just going off keep trade cut and what they're offering, Sam Laporta is available for the 107, but
Okay.
then there's not much after that, right? And there's a big dip
Yeah.
after that. But it also depends on the Sam Laporta owner, right? If Sam Laporta owner is only Sam Laporta on their team, that's going to make it very difficult as well.
I also would
is
just
true.
say that you get like into the Harold Fannin range as well here pretty easily.
Mhm.
If the draft capital's right, he's definitely a target there as well. And then
And
we'll
look,
just say true BPA here
yeah.
because it's hard to really know. But
Yeah, and you can't even buy a tight end on the low right now. I mean, you can.
well, one thing I was gonna suggest is, would you not just throw the 212 at the Jonnu Smith owner? And it's a 1 quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, it's 1 quarterback at.
Yeah.
He could be an incredible starter next year. You're in this range where you want to take advantage. People probably want to sell Jonnu Smith, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy who has Jonnu Smith already has Evan Ingram. I mean, I think that would be really doable. I
Yeah.
even think you could buy like a Kittle. Would you not try and buy a Kittle for one of these early seconds?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would for a Kittle.
Like a 20. Well, it's a 10 team, remember? So maybe the 206 plus the 212. Maybe that gets you a George Kittle.
Yeah.
You know,
What's
again,
happening, MP?
yeah, MP says RIP 89. Yeah, not a great offseason or playoff for our boy Marky Mark. I'm just looking at all the other tight ends in this league.
Just unless you go with like somebody that can, like a pathway guy. Can you get a Ben Sinnott? Can you get, someone that could potentially take the next level, the next step? Javion Sanders.
Yeah.
Like, do we go that route? Do we go Tucker Kraft, who had a decent year this year? But I think you're probably just in the same spot. You're just gonna have a lot of these mid tight ends potentially.
Yeah. The only reason I agree, but I just want someone I think I can definitely
Yeah, you can compete
win
with this team. Yeah,
know.
I get that.
But if we want to trade for vets, we've talked about that. So we've talked about a couple scenarios here, like Laporta, Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. I'd rather buy one of the running backs with the 107, to be honest. And then I'd rather use these late seconds on a Kittle or a Smith. But also, I think if you are able to lock up one of the 108, the 109, it's a really good idea as well. But yeah, I mean, you're in a pretty good spot here. The funny thing is, like, he doesn't even really need to add a running back, but if he's able to, it just opens this window wide open. Tight end almost feels more of a desperate need than anything else. I mean, would you not try to use a 105 and grab a McBride? Let's say you add the 105 as well as the 206, the 210, and the 212. Does that net you McBride? Because then you still have the 107 to either trade for a running back like Jonathan Taylor or Josh Jacobs, or if a Travion Henderson falls or Judkins falls, you know, you have
like that.
I think that almost feels like more of
That's great. That feels better.
Need for this team.
I agree. I think my only thing with that is, actually no, it does feel like a need for this team. And then the depth. Then do you keep the 107, just go Travion if he's there? Or
yeah, exactly. You keep the 107, you go Judkins maybe, Travion, Egbuka. You know?
Yeah.
You trade the 107 for Taylor Jacobs, one of those. Let's just say you do this deal with McBride. All right, and then you use the 107 on Josh Jacobs, just as an example. All right, so we pretty much lost all of our draft capital, but that's fine because now we have Josh Jacobs and Trey McBride. And think about that with this team. Our starting lineup would be Bo Nix, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Trey McBride, London, JSN, Chuba Hubbard. That is ridiculously good.
Yeah, I do like that.
So that's the kind of pathway I would be trying to outwork with this one.
Yeah, and
it's
obviously
kind of a mix. You want to do a mix of everything here, I think.
100%, and I think that is the biggest thing. Like, if you can't get this McBride deal done, then that's okay. Then, like, in my perspective, if I'm not trading these picks and I'm sticking and picking, I have to 1,000% prioritize Loveland and Warren, depending on draft capital at that 107.
I agree. At the 107, I'm with you there. But if they don't go first round, I would change my mind.
If they don't go first round, then we're gonna pivot. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, because that means they probably drop. Maybe they potentially fall to that 203 because what's that, the 201?
Yeah.
In the 12 men. So
the only other thing I would say real quickly is we probably can't sell any of these running backs outside of maybe J.K. Dobbins. I don't want to sell Jerry because I'd like to compete with him as a flex. But that's the last thing I'd say with this review here. With J.K. Dobbins, like, I almost would like to, like, package one of these early picks. You know, Dobbins and the 203, what range does that get us into? Like, who is a team that you would say maybe has enough running backs to sacrifice one? Like, would that get you Chase Brown? Probably not. What about Joe Mixon? Probably. Are you paying too much for Joe Mixon then? Probably. So let's keep looking. Does that get you... It has to be like this perfect blend, like Christian McCaffrey, for example. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Like that kind of perfect blend of like everyone is concerned and maybe there's a glaring buy. You can't get Kyron Williams range, but maybe you can get Ken Walker range.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I'd be willing to risk it for Ken there. Yeah, I think that's kind of like that range of player. Would you do that? Would you do that for Derek on this roster? I think I might actually do that for Derek.
Yeah, I'll do it for Derek. I don't think you can get that for Derek, but yes, I would do that for Derek.
Yeah. No, we loved Bowers, Timothy. We didn't like his landing spot, but we loved Bowers. I think the hate that we got in our rankings was having Bo Nix over Bowers.
Yeah.
And I think
we didn't
make an argument
either I don't
way
think
right
anyone,
now, but you probably prefer Bowers.
I think for us, like at that time, I don't think anyone was expecting Bowers to have a historical finish like he just did in that offense with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. We believed in the talent, just hated the landing spot.
Yeah. And I mean, I said that in plenty of videos this offseason. I'm done questioning rookie tight ends. So yeah, if you're looking for an apology, brother, it's already been out there for quite a few videos, my friend.
Yeah.
But I will not apologize for having Bo Nix high because everybody else is wrong. So eat it, everybody else. Anyway, this is the game plan I like.
Yeah, I think that's a good game plan. This is a great team. You're definitely obviously we have you as young windows open, which can easily be a contender with these moves that you're going to make, and you're going to be receiving that within 48 to 72 hours there on the Flock Fantasy message system with your customized playbook.
Yes,
With
sir.
all the information that we have built and put in here. Okay, but we appreciate the support. Yeah, thank you so much there, Crone.
Yeah, we appreciate you big time, my friend.
Kronos.
All right. Bender, we did offline because it's an offline review. Sharp Supreme is up next.
Sharp Supreme. I remember.
MP says Kraft is a screaming buy right now, by the way, which it's just tough because I love Luke Musgrave too. What's up, Nick? Nick says, y'all like Komet as a buy with Johnson? I just don't think Komet is like a difference-making tight end. Like, I think the Bears are a team where if somehow a Loveland falls to round 2, he's a Chicago Bear.
My thing is like, why didn't Ben involve Laporta this year? Like, what was so different?
Well, he was dealing with an injury, which gets discussed a lot.
Sure, but like, my guy was non-existent.
Yeah.
Like, essentially for fantasy.
Yeah.
You know. But anyways, Sharp is here.
What's up, Sharp?
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. As we're going through some stuff, let us know if anything's incorrect or not. But we're gonna go through this team in this context, and we appreciate the support, brother. So it looks like this is a 1 quarterback.
Start 8.
12 teams start 8. Ooh, meat and potatoes here. And 1 quarterback. Okay, so let's have a look and break down this context here for you. We appreciate you once again, and let's do it. I'm looking for directions to go. I have an offer that was the 26th second in Pittman for the 110. Really like that idea with the depth I have currently. The top teams in the league don't like to trade. The Nico owner is new. Team was orphaned, okay, and probably looking for picks. Would you throw the 105 plus essentially for Nico?
We will answer that question, but I think that would be a steal if you got Nico that cheap, and definitely probably going to say yes. Before we get into this, Badaki, this entire review is going to be built around the strongest starting lineup, the most superstars, the most hammers. Start 8 is just very small, 2 flex spots. You win championships with the best starting lineup in this one. But, yeah, let's have a look. It's Trading Troubadours. I'm probably saying that wrong, but currently ranked 3rd if you use my rankings on Flock in your league. It looks like you only have the 105. Let us know if that is correctamundo, or if there's something that you have that we are missing. But it looks like only the 105 right now. He says yeah, so that's right. Okay, go ahead with looking at the team.
And this is half PPR, another half PPR team. We got pretty much all half PPR teams today.
Yep.
Okay. At the quarterback position, Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, Derek Carr, great quarterback room.
It's all right.
It's all right. And look, when I say great, I mean like at least you have depth.
Yeah.
But like Kyler Murray, big disappointment. Bryce Young taking a big step up. Can these guys take it to the next level in 2025?
Sorry, just quickly, Harrison, can you confirm that your league has already changed those settings? As in right now, in Sleeper, you already have shown that it's a tight end premium. And the only reason I asked that is because we have been following up with our developers on this. Okay.
So it's going to 0.7 to 0.5, but we have added 0.7 for tight ends this year. So this is a tight end premium. I think what Joe needs to do is have it look for every single one. I don't think he's doing that. All right, anyways.
Yeah.
At the running back position, Saquon Barkley, Devon Achane, Jonathan Brooks, Kendrick Miller, the list goes on there. So top heavy
Nice.
running back room. Maybe you need some more depth just in case, but that's all right. Remember, you can start up to 4 wide receivers: Puka Nacua, Lad McConkey, Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Jawan Jennings. The list goes on there with Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, and Jake Ferguson. And
I like the team.
Sanders.
I mean, this is one of those teams where like you're gonna compete. You're gonna be in the playoffs, and then it's like anything can happen. I wouldn't really say I look at this team and say this is definitely the championship winning team, but it's 100% in there like swimwear. Anything's possible with health. Draft capital, we have our own first and 26, but nothing else. I'd say overall, like, yeah, I mean, look, this guy knows he doesn't have like a treasure chest of picks. This is probably draft capital grade, a C minus, C flat. He still has his first. But then the team overall is quite good. I mean, you think about the starting lineup: Kyler, Saquon, Achane, Puka, Lad, Jonnu, Olave, Ayuk. That's pretty decent. I'd say B flat overall grade.
Yeah, I would say B flat as well. And I think with a team like this is, I think this is a contender.
Yeah, I would put contender status on it as well.
Yeah, I think this is contender here for me.
Your untouchables in a one quarterback, I'd put Saquon Barkley probably there. And Puka
probably
Nacua.
Puka.
And then
Nacua.
I would probably hold Olave at this point.
I think Chris Olave and Brandon Ayuk most likely.
Yeah, they're both great holds. You can drop A.T. Perry. I don't even think he's actually on a team right now. You can drop MVS and Bub Memes if you want. You can drop Jamal Williams.
I just remember like
Carson
people
Steele.
on Twitter like talking up A.T. Perry. It's like, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, I got sucked into the hype a little bit too.
Okay.
I brought him as a sleeper because on like a per target basis, he was just so good in 2023. But anyway.
So A.T. Perry, MVS, Bud Memes, and Jamal Williams, you said?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few
four
you can
there.
drop here to clear space if you want to. If these guys are rostered, I imagine your waiver wire is already pretty barren, so you don't have to. But they're definitely droppable names.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So think about one quarterback. You know, at the 105. This is let me grab yours here. Sharp Supreme. Here we are. Yeah, but it's actually pretty much like the same range as this previous team as well. You know, Hampton,
Yeah.
Caleb, Henderson, one of these guys could fall here. And I think probably I want to add a running back more than anything if we use that pick. So I think that's probably what I would use it for if we were to stick and
Yeah.
pick. If you're not... Uh-huh.
Go ahead, sorry. I apologize.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just going to remind us that he was offered, he says, have an offer was the 26 second and Pittman for the 110. So he's going to receive potentially the 110 in a one quarterback.
I mean, Pittman... I think he could recover his status. I think he could be one of these good buys, but do you think you'll ever get a first for him again? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I think if I were to, especially the one quarterback, I think I'm doing that no matter who falls, because
Yeah.
this is a tight end premium, which might boost some of these tight ends up higher depending on draft capital. And if that actually is the case with the premium, that means some of these other running backs might fall to you at the 110. Maybe that's, or help, maybe even Emeka and Buka, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think I like this deal a lot. You're kind of just resetting, and the thing with Pittman as well is like, I think Adonai is actually a good player, and we've never questioned Adonai as a player. It's just the situation. I think he's, no disrespect to Pittman, but I'm not sure that Pittman is like, I think Adonai might have a higher ceiling outcome as a player in his career. Josh Downs, I think, is very good. They're probably going to draft Tyler Warren if he's there, you know? And you've already got a guy that can't throw the ball to anyone consistently. I just think they're definitely sticking with AR this year, and I just don't know how that's going to get better for Michael Pittman. So I would be totally fine to do that. Now, he did mention Nico Collins.
The Nico Collins owner is new.
Thanks,
Team
baby.
was offered and probably looking for picks. Would you throw the 105 plus? Okay, so let's see who has Nico
It's
Collins.
11 Billy Beans Oakland A's, which, by the way, shout out to Moneyball, one of the best sports movies of all time. Now, the issue is, if you make this deal, you do not have the opportunity to prove running back. That window doesn't exist. But if you were to get,
it could exist at the 110 though.
That's
it may
true.
It may not be the top tier guy that we hope for.
That's true, but no, that's fair. I mean, look, if you can get Nico Collins, you're gonna have to add something on top of this. But and again, I don't think he's worth anything. But if you can add Nick Chubb,
You can start small.
just as something, and then you need to add. I'm saying we add Nick Chubb back, just for like a body in the room, right?
Oh, to come back, sure, okay.
But we can add. I mean, the thing is,
we want to use Michael Pittman here.
Yeah. So do you add Jennings to get it done?
Yeah, let's try Jennings.
Okay, if that's possible, I think you're getting a steal.
I mean, I'm happy to even do like my 26 second. If you keep your 26 first, and
we want to use that to get Pittman, right? That's already on offer, I believe.
Oh, that is on offer. You're right. That's correct.
Yeah, I would accept that trade now. And what do we call this? Do we call this a contender? Because it's very much Windows now. Windows open. If we think about it, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I get you.
I'd keep your first, but anyway, yeah. So I like that deal a lot. I mean, at the 105, if you're able to find your way into a Bucky Irving, I'm gonna keep hyping up my guy. If you can find your way into a Bucky Irving, I think that makes a ton of sense. You already have Achan, right? Yeah, so that's kind of like the other name there. Yeah, I think those are the two names that make sense to target there. The other idea is if you're able to tier down and stay in the 106 to the 107, I don't hate that if you get a plus on it. Who has the 106 and 107?
Well, let's find out.
Okay, so the 107 is show me your TDs.
Classic.
For example, Kamara. 105 for... Like, if someone... And this deal only happens during draft night. When someone is like, oh my god, Caleb Johnson's there, and I'm fucking obsessed with him. I have to have him. And it's like, okay, we'll just add Kamara to the deal and we'll make it happen. Like, that's the type of deal that happens when the clock is ticking. And if you knew that one of these names was still going to be available at the 107, it would be a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Who has the 106, right?
106, I think I just looked it up, sorry. 106 is Mixon. Yeah.
Same idea, right?
Yeah.
Same idea with Mixon.
Oh, stop. It's a no-brainer.
And shoot, I mean, you can even add something if you want to get that one done. Like a... Ferguson, maybe? And Harrison, jump in at any point. By the way, we see Alejandro. I'll get to your question right after this review, my friend. Well, just stay with us there. But yeah, I think a combination of some of these would be perfect. I mean, of course, if they're willing to give you a future first and you can add a future second onto that, that's a no-brainer as well. But yes, I love this Michael Pittman deal. I would definitely accept that. And then, by the way, let's just play out that world because, I mean, he says it's on table, which means that he's probably going to accept it now. Let's add the 110 here, Because then when we have that 110, if we use it with a 105 on a Nico Collins move that we talked about, I mean, at the 110, is Judkins there? Because he's there in a lot of our drafts. Is Judkins available to you? Is Egbuka there? That's kind of the range. We don't need a tight end, if I remember correctly. But you could still consider one of those names if they're BPA. So...
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, by the way, you can use the 110 to go buy a veteran again. You know, like we've been talking about that range of veterans.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I love it, Harrison. Love it, love it, love it. But that's the kind of pathway. I mean, look, you don't have a lot of moving pieces. Pittman would have been the name I would have said to sell anyway. Answer for flexibility as we compete. But if you could sell Jake or Jatavion for any second, I think you could do that. You would do that in a heartbeat here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Jatavion's going to net you a second, but Ferguson might. What about Leggett? By the way, with Brooks, I would say the same thing with Jonathan Brooks at this point, but he's maybe more of a hold. Who did I say? Leggett. Where do you stand on Leggett right now? Because I just...
I think it just depends on what they do in the offseason. If they don't bring in anyone else, which would be crazy, I think Leggett could take another step into going into this year. They kept this, you know, Bryce Young is still here. He took a big step. I would rather keep Leggett, but that also depends on draft capital. And like, I mean, they are in a prime spot technically to take a Tet if he falls, a Luther Burden, but like, I don't think they're going to take Luther Burden as a top 10 pick. Tet could definitely go to the Panthers.
Would you do a Leggett and Jonathan Brooks for James Conner?
In a competing team, yes. I feel like I would rather keep the young pieces, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's a mixture. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it,
maybe
no wide receiver
maybe
comes
if you
into
could.
this.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, no wide receiver comes in outside of like the top 5 wide receivers scare me.
What'd
That
you do
can
for
take
Joe
over.
Mixon?
Look at-
Does Joe Mixon feel more comfortable?
Yeah, that feels more comfortable, 100%.
Because I just think in a start 8, I'm just not sure Leggett is ever someone I'm really.
Yeah, I
relying
get
on.
what you're saying.
Chase Brown would be an unreal pickup right now with that combo. If you can actually even add, I mean, I would add any number of the. And I have my concerns around him, but I'd add Juwan Jennings to this deal as well if it got it done. Any of the tight ends, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think this is kind of the pathway forward here for this team. I'd love to hear.
Wait, 49ers expect to hire Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator.
Oh, that makes sense.
I really wanted the Giants to fire Joe Shane and or not Joe Shane, Shane Bowen, and get Robert Saleh.
That makes sense for the Niners. Get that little reunion going on.
They were dogs too, but like,
Oh yeah,
what happened to the other dude though? Wasn't the defensive coordinator for the 49ers?
he's the head coach of the Texans.
Oh yes, he is. No, he's
Yeah.
not. No, the new guy that took over that position, he was a good defensive coordinator. Or is that a different team I'm thinking about?
I don't know.
Anyways, that's the Ravens. Anyways,
I like the Nico Collins deal a lot. I really love the idea of tearing down either with Kamara or Mixon.
yeah, I'm okay with that. I like those two. What else we have here? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixon one. So that's 4.
I really like this. While you don't have a lot of assets, I think you have enough to really push you towards that like contender. And you know, we can't sit here and promise you like, yeah, you're definitely gonna win. But I think it really, it's very clear that this team is gonna be in the
sets you up for
playoffs.
success. It
Yeah.
sets you up for success for sure, Harrison. And let us know if you have any last minute questions.
I
because
wouldn't do
you
anything
will
with
be-
the quarterback room right now. Kyler is not a sell. And Bryce is also a hold. I mean, Derek Carr is virtually useless, even in Superflex. But yeah. Anyway, appreciate you, man. Let us know if you have any questions,
Yeah.
Harrison, that we didn't get. Would you want to target JJ as in McCarthy?
Or because I don't think you'll have enough for Justin Jefferson.
McCarthy. Yeah, who has JJ? Let's see. That's on team 11 bench warmers. They have a ton of quarterbacks. This actually could be a great target because they don't have wide receiver. I'd like to use Leggett to get this one done. So, for example, Leggett and I don't think Carr's. I mean, you could throw Carr in, but it'd have to be Leggett and like Brooks or something.
Look at and Brooks for JJ. Yeah, I'll do the exact same one. So he's the Pittman trade. Okay, so how can we build off the Pittman then? So the second.
That's very easy actually. So all we do is we add Xavier Leggett, we add Jonathan Brooks, and then we get back the 110 and JJ McCarthy. Right?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's just a little bit bigger of a blockbuster. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Harrison. You should be receiving this within 48 to 72 hours with all the information customized to your team.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Let us know if you have any last-minute questions, Harrison. We are here for you, my friend. We did have Alejandro said, thanks for the review yesterday. I got a question. What do I do with the 107 and why 2020 and why... Also, why 2027 for Tyreek Hill? I need to go back and even remember what he's...
He said, waiting to hear back. Okay, so we said Tyreek Hill, any mid to late first, ideally in 2027. Well, we're basically saying why. You saying why in 2027? It's probably because, if I'm not mistaken, this team...
Oh, no, I know why. So I like the 27 class better. We talked about trading away Tyreek Hill, and I just like the 2027 class better. And I think overall, I think the 27 class is going to net you a higher return for value than a 26 pick right now, based off of these two classes, based off the prospects in each class and the expectations of each class as of today. And then at the 107. We walked through that with the review, and I'm pretty sure we said to stick and pick and grab one of Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, McMillan, Burden, Judkins, and Igbuka. Okay. Yeah. We'd be sticking and picking with that pick. It's not a place that you can trade back from. 107 is in that range, so yeah. So yeah, if I remember correctly, we said to stick and pick with the 107 with one of those names that are available, which you probably don't have your team playbook yet, but that will show up on the chalkboard. But yeah, one of Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, McMillan, Burden, Judkins, Igbuka is what we do at the 107. You can't trade back from the 107. So yeah, hopefully that is helpful, my friend. All right, we've got DJ Big Cuban here in the building. Got you. No worries, my friend. Big Cuban in the building.
Big Cuban. Cubano.
It is a 12-team start 10 PPR, and if you guys are out there watching this and you want your team reviewed, it's very, very simple, okay? First option is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. I'll put that link in the chat. Not only do you get the team playbook, which looks like this. All right, completely customized to your league, to your team. Individual trade recommendations, what to do with your draft capital, understanding your league priorities. But you get the team playbook. You get our 2025 rookie report, all the premium tools on the website. And the other option is if you're already on a different promo code, you can get one a la carte through the Flock store. I'll put that link there in the chat. The baseline is an offline review, and it's just $10 more for a team review, live team review. So, all right, DJ Cuban's next. Let's get this going.
DJ Cubano. All right, DJ Cuban here with the context saying my original plan was to take a quarterback at the 104 and tight end at the 112, but found myself not drafting a third running back until 17th round. Now thinking on, I'm assuming F of running back at the 104. and tight end at the 112. Please advise if I can make team complete. I traded my future, so I kind of have to. Plus, even fourth place gives me money back. Okay.
Well, that's a little concerning to start the review that way without seeing the team. But I wonder if he's saying in his startup. But I think because he's talking about 17th round. I'm not sure. Let's have a look at the team. Chubba Chub Choo Choo, which, if I remember correctly, yes, I'm going to let him know. We are reviewing your team now on stream. This guy DM'd me, and yeah. Let me just follow up. He says, yeah. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at his team. It might be a startup because that just finished, because there's a lot of even disparity between these grades. His team name is Chubba Chub Choo Choo. He's third. Go ahead.
12.
And it's a 12-team start 10, so that's middle ground starting lineup. You can start to 5 wide receivers, probably 3 flex spots you got there. But go ahead here.
Yeah. Bo Nix, Geno Smith, Derek Carr, Spencer Rattler. Good quarterback or decent quarterback room. Your QB2 is definitely weak, which I understand. We got to wait and see what that looks like coming in. Jahmyr Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, and the rest goes on there with Rico, Ray, Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
At the wide receiver position, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Terry, Keon, Mooney, Jennings, Xavier, and the list goes on there with Jonnu Smith, Benson. Okay, so
I'll just say this personally. I get why he wants to take quarterback at the 104, but it's not a class where I would be doing it. Earliest I would take a quarterback in this class is probably the 107 or 8 range. And I know not everybody agrees with that, but that's just my opinion, and you're coming here to hear our thoughts, right? So I get why he needs help at quarterback, and he feels that way. But if his goal is to just like, hey, I just need to get my money back and I need to make sure I'm competing, then I think you need to use that pick on a running back.
Okay.
But I will be honest, like the starting lineup is quite weak. I mean, Nick, Smith, Gibbs, Chuba, CD, Neighbors, Jonnu, and then we have to start 3 other names, which would be Terry. That's fine. But outside of Terry, like, does Keon take the next step? Is Mooney still going to be reliable? Is Jennings going to have a role when everyone's healthy? You know, Rico's probably losing his job. It's just there's not a lot of depth here on this team.
You don't have your 26 first, which is a killer as well.
Yeah,
This would easily put us in a 1-year punt.
I almost feel like you need to tear down from some of these names to really be in a better position.
I think this is well, this is either 1-year punt without the first, which you can't do,
first,
or full rebuild, or you decide whether you're going in or out. Which I feel like full rebuild, meaning you're going to sell CD, Malik, Gibbs, and just reset.
To me, without his first and 26, I don't think either of those are options. My route would be tearing down from these superstars, still having great players all around, and trying to be a sleeper. I think he's a sleeper now.
I don't think he has a depth to be a sleeper at the wide receiver position when it's a start 10.
Yeah, I get that, but
I mean, look, maybe, right? Because we can talk it up. Let's talk it up in this perspective then. Because he probably did have a decent year the way it panned out. Bo Nix, Geno Smith, he was a top guy for a couple weeks. Jahmyr Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, all along the whole year was doing pretty well. CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors, even though CeeDee was up and down. Perry took off. Darnell Mooney took off. Jawan Jennings took off after Ayuk. So he had the window. And he had Jonnu Smith, who also took off.
I will just say, like, quickly, like, we have to remember he's going to get an impact player at the 104. So that's going to help his depth already. But I'm talking about a combination of that and tearing down from some of these names to have a more complete team. Because, again, without his own firsts in the future, the punt and rebuild, it's just out of the question for me. I think this is sleeper pathway. Couple moves and you're in it. And I think the moves are tearing down from Gibbs, tearing down from CD. And those two moves alone, including the draft capital, are going to put you in the playoffs and let anything happen. You're going to have to trust Geno Smith as a starter for this team. And the good news for you is that this class is terrible. There's a very good chance that both Geno and Derek are starters for this team, for their teams. That's the pathway I would personally. I think we have to. We've put ourselves in a box.
So what? Yeah. So what is the pathway? Sleeper then.
Yeah.
Sleeper with the intentions of trying to compete.
Yes.
Obviously.
And we want to tear down from Gibbs and Lamb.
And becoming a sleeper by tearing down. Just keep that in mind. So, like, I just want to clarify. You're a sleeper by giving away some of your best assets to still get great assets to compete.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, with Jahmyr Gibbs, we want to tear down and get even better assets. Like, for example, like Saquon, you couldn't tear down as much, but you definitely can. There's no doubt about it. But then if you want to tear down further to like your Bucky Achans, your Taylor Breeses, let's see, your Josh Jacobs, right? I think you need to stay in this range here, though. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And then when you tear down from CD, the names that you want to stay in, you want to try. I mean, I don't think you can tear down to Puka, but obviously we would love to do that. You already have neighbors, but like an Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Nico Collins, a Brian Thomas. I don't think Brian Thomas is really possible. I'm just going to put him there, though, because it just doesn't feel like anyone who has Brian Thomas is willing to tear up right now. London, I think that's the range you need to stay in.
Yeah.
Or A.J. Brown if he's going to compete. Right?
I'm okay with those.
Okay, so that is our game plan.
Yeah. So I see your thing in the comments here, Nick G. So I'm a Dynasty team review and don't see it. What's your team name? Yeah.
As in, do you mean like in our queue right now that we're looking at?
What's your team name or your Flock Fantasy name? Your Flock Fantasy username? Because there's probably just names that you don't see on there.
And are you sure you submitted it to Fantasyland? Let us know.
Yeah, just make sure who you submitted it to. That it is us.
Yeah. Let us know, my friend.
Okay.
But again, let's get back here.
Really quick before we move on to the trades, let's talk about untouchables, because I know that might be a looking at in an ideal world, untouchables are technically the Gibbs. Yeah. The Gibbs and the CD Lambs. So
in an ideal world, you don't trade all the names that we're telling you to trade, but you're not in an ideal world. You've kind of put yourself a little bit in a corner without having your future draft capital, and you kind of need to move these untouchables, and that's why you're going to get such a huge return, because we all consider them untouchable. But for graphics' sake, you can put.
I'm gonna put Malik Neighbors and
Jahmyr Gibbs maybe, but we're gonna move Gibbs. It's just, when you listen to the review, you know.
Yeah, when you listen to this and you see your digital copy of your playbook and you see Jahmyr Gibbs, just know that we're just putting it there so you understand that in reality, we would never move Jahmyr Gibbs if the team wasn't in this state.
Yeah. As far as holds,
I want to hold Terry.
Yeah, Ben Sinnott comes to mind. I don't mind Terry. At this point, Chubb is You know what I mean? There's no
Sure.
reason not to hold Chubb. So
can put four
just saw
drops
Nick's
there.
comment, by the way. He says team name is one too many, and I don't see any team name like that in our queue. So you might have submitted it to the wrong person.
No.
Oh wait, no, I see it.
No,
Yeah,
it's here.
Mr. Potato Head.
It's-
Yeah, I see you, dude.
it's
You're
just Mr. Potato Head.
yeah. You just submitted today, right, Nick? I think this is your team here.
Yeah, so
Yeah, one
it's
too many.
Your team name is one too many.
Okay, yeah. No,
Just
you're
your
good.
flock
You're good to
fantasy
go, my
name is
friend.
Mr. Potato Head. Yeah.
Sorry for the confusion. You have submitted correctly. But again, I think Chubb is a hold just simply because no one's going to give you anything. Like you're not. Is it really worth getting a 4th round pick for Nick Chubb right now? It's not. You might as well hold him. We also talked. Who else would we say was the hold? Ben Sinnott, Keon Coleman feels like a hold at this point, and Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, so that's 4. I'll put you on.
You can easily drop Ray McLeod, Trey Palmer. Those are easy drops.
Yeah.
All right. Jahmyr Gibbs. All right, let's try and make some magic here. The first name we need to look at is the team that owns Saquon Barkley. Let's go name by name, Badaki. And the team that owns Saquon Barkley is Ric Flair Drip. They have Saquon. So in this scenario, we would go Saquon and probably DJ Moore, would you say?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that is enough, but
Like minimum.
yeah.
Maybe we should put this minimum.
And
You need to get 2 pieces
Badaki,
for
this
each
is-
of these guys.
This is how we make this even. We also add in Geno Smith and Dak Prescott swap. All right.
Sure. Perfect.
Bucky.
Bucky.
Bucky. I'm gonna be so annoying all offseason with Bucky Irving. Probably not a team that's gonna be tearing down because they only have Bucky Irving. But if you can get Bucky, Rasheed is ideal, but he's not gonna help us this year. I mean, Bucky Bryan is a no-brainer. I just don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, that's not realistic. I mean, it would have to be Higgins. Let's be honest. It would have to be Bucky and Higgins. And then, again, you can do the same thing where you swap out Goff and Geno. I would also be willing to do this same deal for Bryce Young. What about you?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So Gibbs, Geno for Bucky, Bryce Young.
I almost feel like we're not even getting enough value still.
I don't feel like that's enough. Yeah, I mean,
I have to add the 108 in here. And then
That
we
doesn't
need
feel
to
like-
give something back. Like, man, we have no
we have
depth.
no draft capital. Yeah, we have nothing.
Well, how about Leggett?
Yeah,
He
we
seems to
can
be
do
the
that.
ultimate equalizer.
Yeah, that's tough.
I think that feels better to me. All right, Achan.
Where's HM? Maybe he's in the top team. Patty Cakes.
He is Patty Cakes.
This is not much.
I actually think there's a path here. HN Collins. I would do that,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
and I'll give you Leggett as well if you want. Taylor.
Yeah. Sailor at Saquon Barkley's team.
Right. So it'd have to be like. This would have to be like Taylor Love. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to go that route, but I'm not really sure. You're not actually achieving your goal here.
No,
So I don't think
so either.
I don't think Taylor's a good fit now that I'm thinking about this. So let's go on to Breece Hall.
Brother Brees. Brother Bo.
Breece is not gonna work
No, not with this team.
unless you did like Joe Burrow. You know, like that is the scenario. It's like, yeah, let's just get fucking Joe Burrow. But I mean, it would have to be Gibbs and Geno Smith for Breece Hall and Joe Burrow. And at that point, is the guy who owns Joe Burrow really, really doing this? I don't think so. So let's get rid of that. That's not realistic.
What about Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs is first and long. You love to see it.
Yeah, so Jacobs, Wilson, 109
plus. Yeah, I'm okay with that. The starting point. Obviously, this is the starting point for all these trades.
And then you can use a 109 on something if you need. Okay, yeah. Let's look at CD Lamb now. And let's start with Puka. Again, I want to clarify, I don't really think you can tier down to Puka. But if you were able to do like Puka Walker, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Kenneth Walker.
Let's go to Amon-Ra, which again might not be a very easy tier down at this point. But they did just lose their coordinator. I know some people are going to be thinking about that. Who do we have at tight end?
We have Jonnu Smith.
Okay, so Amon-Ra plus Trey McBride, and we will offer you CeeDee Lamb. Would you do CeeDee Lamb in the 112?
Yes.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Okay, we are gonna go look at. This is where you actually start to tear down with like the Nico Collins names. And maybe this is where you start to actually get value. That's team number 1.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can get Bowers. But what about a?
Unless you do like the 105 or the 104 plus CD, Nico, Bowers.
Yeah, but we need to tear down and get more depth. I think you'd have to go like Nico. Yeah, I don't think Nico works. It'd have to be Nico Achan. I just don't think they'd be willing to do that. Yeah, I just don't think they'd be willing to do that. And I don't know that we have like the depth to really offer them some middle ground piece. I mean, would you put in Keon Coleman to make this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Because you get better at running back still.
Brian Thomas.
Rashid Young Penix. Well, this one is... You can get Brian Thomas and like a Jordan Addison or a Brian Thomas and a Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I think Higgins would make it a no-brainer. You know?
Yeah.
Also, if you can do Brian Thomas plus Bucky Irving, and then you send Keon Coleman. Again, I don't think that's actually going to really work, but just thinking of all the options we can possibly offer. And now is where we can actually really extract value. Drake London plus what? Who has Drake London? I think this is finally the range where it's like
you can Nakua guy.
You can really maybe stretch this out. So yeah, the issue is this guy really, it's just, there's not, yeah, there's really, it'd have to be like London, James Cook, Tyreek, and a future first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can use that future first if you want to build more. And then the last name is AJ Brown, and this is where you can probably max out value in return. And AJ Brown, so for example, in this scenario, you'd go Brown in the 101. And then we can also offer CD, and do you go 112 here?
Yeah.
And then the 101 in itself should return a huge haul. Okay.
CeeDee Lamb plus the 112. That's probably the best one, actually.
And I think there are better deals overall with Gibbs tearing down from what we've talked about, but all
I
these
think
are
it just all
options.
depends. Yeah.
I
I
really
would say
like
shoot for stars,
the
for sure.
Saquon DJ Moore Prescott deal. Also a big fan of the McBride deal.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I like
Um,
Nico HN, and then I think we should do AJ Brown 101
okay, yeah.
for CD.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Now, the good news is we haven't even talked about you improving your team through the draft yet, because you will be able to, right? At the 104, you're in this range where you could really draft an impact running back, which is what this team needs. I mean, really, honestly, now that I'm saying this, like you could go either way.
Yeah,
You really could go McMillan or Burden here as well. You
I
really
agree.
could go either way.
It just really depends on maybe who's available.
The only reason I lean running back early is because you can maybe get like the Igbukas late, or like the Matthew Goldens if he gets draft capital that I think he could get. You know.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's just all going to depend on who you sell, because a lot of this, 104 is going to depend on, like, if you were to sell Jahmyr Gibbs and now you have, like, did you sell CeeDee Lamb and then get Amon-Ra Trey McBride, and then sell Jahmyr Gibbs and you got Bucky Irving, or Saquon. I think it's just going to work out for you, I think.
yeah, I think you get two of these done. I think if you tear down from Gibbs and CD, you're in a good spot. Of course, we don't want to do that. I mean, let's make that ultimately very clear. The guy who has the 105 and the 106 might be a good tear down option. Like, would you tear down for Sam Darnold? And then, I mean, that guy probably is not willing to do it, but
He's probably not willing to do it, no. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy goes back-to-back quarterbacks, even though we wouldn't recommend that. But
Yeah.
actually, he has the whole 26 class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
8 first round. I mean, he even has this guy.
yeah. Who has the 107? Let's find the 107 here.
107 Patty Cakes.
Yeah. Okay. So, man, the disparity is so interesting. I mean, I would do the 107 and the 110.
4 for the 107 and 110.
I could also, if you could squeeze in the 204, I would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and just keep in mind, like, this is all happening during your rookie drafts, okay? I think we want to preference this that, one, we don't want to do these trades because we don't like doing these trades because of the players that you're giving up. But in this scenario, we understand. 2, make sure if you are going to do this before the NFL draft, you get the absolute max value. And if not, you're doing this after the NFL draft and during your rookie drafts, so you know where these guys have gone and you can get the best value.
Yeah. But yeah, we appreciate you, Big Cuban. Hopefully this is helpful, my friend. Maybe not exactly what you wanted to hear, but it's honest and it's just transparent feedback. It's the most honest feedback we can give you, which is actually going to be helpful. I mean, we could be like, oh, look, you have 3 of the best players in Dynasty, great, but the rest of your team is not good. I mean, we have to be honest. So, in order for you to achieve the goals that you have, I think we have walked you through all the steps that we would take. So, appreciate you, Big Cuban, and thank you so much for the love and the support. What's up, Alex? No worries, my friend. We appreciate your support, and hopefully the review was helpful.
Yeah. That's awesome.
We should do some more, I think. Yeah. Let's go to Mac Money next. You down?
Yes, I am down.
And are you down to do 2 more?
Yeah, let's do 2 more.
Okay, cool. So we'll do Mac Money and Driston.
Yeah, and then maybe we call it there. I'm happy to do 2 more.
Okay, cool.
Let me just get these playbooks set up
Yeah.
if you want to give the spiel.
Yeah, if anyone out there is looking to get their team playbook, it's very simple, gang. There's two ways. First way is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. We believe this is wholeheartedly, easily the best bang for your buck, if you will, because you do get the team playbook, all right, which is completely customized to your team. It's a game plan for your offseason, but you also get all the premium tools on the Flock Fantasy website, all right? And, you know, the premium tools like the rankings for Dynasty and redraft when redraft comes around, one quarterback super flex, the prospect database, you get the My Teams feature, you get the trade finder, the trade calculator, and of course you get access to all the databases and draft guides on the website. For example, like our 2025 rookie report version 1.0 is currently out on the Flock Fantasy website, and right now I can't download it for you, but let me refresh here. The download button is the best way to view it. And this is just version 1.0. We're going to have so many new features in future versions. Again, I wholeheartedly believe the best bang for your buck is to do it through a yearly membership. Now, the other way is if you're already with a promo code with someone else, then you can sign up for one through the Flock site. I'll put that link in the chat here. Let's say you're a promo code with Flock already, but you want us to give you a playbook and a team review. Go to the team review section here. If you haven't linked up your team just yet, you can link it up with Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo. If you're on an MFL league, just leave your league ID in the context chat box, if you will. But link up your league, click next, or you can leave screenshots, whatever you prefer. Click your team. Make sure your rookie picks are correct. If they're not, add them. And when you get to this section, you'll see Fantasyland, Zach and Badaki. The baseline is an offline version with the team playbook sent to your DM. The other option is just $10 more to get the live review. So, again, appreciate y'all for being here. Let's get to Mac Money. What's up, Steelers? 25 rookies. I don't know the exact answer to that yet. The season did just officially finish. So we, I imagine in the next month or so.
Yeah,
yes,
maybe
sir,
the
Artie.
next month or so. I'm pretty sure they're working on potentially adding those guys. Actually, the last time we spoke to the dev, which was last week or 2 weeks ago now, they were talking about the 25 class and then putting them. So they're probably already on it and nearly done. So
yeah.
Yeah,
Sleeper does have rookies now. They just don't have any photos, which, it is what it is.
I mean, it's better than nothing. It's better than not having rookies at all, to be fair. I mean,
yeah.
It's just not as bling as what we put into it.
That's right.
Anyways, appreciate you, Mac. Money 25. Let's read this context. Says, I know I'm in a total rebuild. Also have 427 first round picks. Early to stock up on those picks, but trying to get ahead of the hype on the 27 wide receiver class. Just curious if y'all would take Genty and any young RB or two and hope everything falls in place later. What are y'all thoughts? Okay, so we'll have a look at your team. Your team name is Mac Money 25, and this is a 12-team league. This looks like a 2-quarterback, 12-team start, 9 half PPR, which means you are meat and potatoes. This is a pretty simple lineup: 2 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 2 flex spots here. Okay, so you did say you are in a full rebuild. I'm glad you can acknowledge that and you understand what's happening. Let's look at this team. At the quarterback position, Drake May, Michael Penix, Bryce Young. Good young quarterback room to build on for the future.
Oh, yeah.
At the running back,
for a rebuild, that's an incredible start.
You got like probably one of the hardest parts out the way already.
Yeah.
At the running back position, Jalen Warren, Madison. I mean, I don't even want to say everyone else's name. You have no running backs.
You have no one.
Okay?
That's okay.
You have no one.
And that's probably where you should be in a rebuild right now.
So. 100%. At the wide receiver room, really only couple names to mention: McMillan, Keon Coleman, and Jalen Coker, and the rest. The list just goes on with Mark Andrews here. Look, once again, glad that you can acknowledge you are in the rebuild. Great quarterback room, no running backs, good young pieces to still build on and lean on for the next couple years as you get your key guys on your team. And you have great draft capital with 325 first round picks. I can see 126 pick and 3 2027
four
first round.
4 2027 first round picks. His
4.
draft capital grade has to be an A++. Put 2 pluses on the graphic too.
Oh shit, A++. I'll see if I can get that in. Full
but
rebuild.
as far as yeah, this is definitely a full rebuild pathway. You're not 1 year away with this roster. You're still multiple years away. And I think, you know, we'll address the 101 here in a second. I just want to quickly say it's not even his pick that's the 101. So you obviously were playing checkers when someone else thought they were playing chess, or the other way around. Sorry, you were playing chess and the other person's playing checkers. CD's nuts said, you know what? I'm going to trade away the 101
I wonder what he
and
did that
compete.
for.
Unlucky.
I mean,
congratulations.
Gosh, yeah, that's just unlucky.
But yeah,
Unlucky
overall team grade, I mean, it's a D.
Yeah, let's just give it a D flat. You got the good quarterbacks. You got some draft capital. You're there, which is great.
You're right where you need to be though. And I wonder if Use is a shout out to New Girl or not, because that's pretty funny if it is.
That's actually true.
So the youths. Yeah, I mean, look, your quarterback room is great. Everything else is just dog shit, and I love Jalen McMillan. You know, Mark Andrews ain't bad. Okay, well, we have a lot of draft capital, and we can definitely, you know, obviously, if we're going to stick at the 101, we can take Ashton Genty. There's nothing wrong with building around Ashton Genty if you prefer to do that. You know, I don't see any issues with it. I think you can probably maximize value by trading that pick away, but at the right time, obviously. And then at the 204, you know, you're kind of in that range. Let me pull up here, because we talked about a different team who had the 204 recently. You're kind of in that range where it's like try and hit on one of these running backs. You know, your Giddens, Neal, Smith, Sampson, Scadaboos, that kind of range. But yeah, I mean, let's just play out this world. You get Ashton, you come back and you get, you know, Caleb Johnson, and then at the 107 you grab, I don't know, Luther Burden, and you know that's not a terrible pathway. I mean, you're building up a running back room, and that is the strength of this class. You know, we don't want to force wide receivers when running backs are the stars, and there's some good wide receivers for sure. So there's nothing wrong with that, but I think personally what I would do is I would trade for a haul, the 101. At least that would be my goal, but I wouldn't force it.
That is definitely the goal. And, you know, when you think of a haul for the 101, and I've said this multiple times, you want the top of the top, the cream of the crop, the best players you could possibly get. And that is basically the top 5 players or the top 3 players in each position. So if you can go out and get the Jaden Daniels, the Jahmyr Gibbs, the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chase, the Bijan Robinsons, the Malik Neighbors, do it.
Yeah.
Anything less than that, sure, you can get, but you want a package. Maybe 3 players, maybe 2 players in a pick, a future picks. Like, that's the type of haul we're talking about. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I'd like a young player that I can build around and a haul. And probably we want that young player to be a receiver if we're going to build like this.
Sure.
So, for example, well, you know what we need to do is we need to find like a team that's just flushed of assets, like Last Boy Scout. I mean, like, for example, like Bucky. The issue is if you trade for this guy's picks, they're just not going to be valuable. So let's keep looking. Kind of want to find like a middle of the pack team here.
Well, what about this?
How about Rashee Rice, the 102, and a future first as a start?
Yeah, because him getting the 101 doesn't make him competitive. Like, he gets better at running back, but his quarterbacks are shit.
Yeah.
His tight ends are not shit, but he has Dallas Goedert. That's all he has.
Yeah.
But then he loses his second best wide receiver, second or third best wide receiver.
Yeah.
So, like, this guy is most likely still going to have potentially a top 5 or at least top 6 pick.
Yeah.
In
And
2026.
Look, if you can add on the 201, then add on the 201. For example, if you think you're not getting enough and you think you can actually shoot even higher, then can you get 2 future firsts? I don't know. You'll know your league a little bit better than us. But I think that's a decent starting point. I think Rice is a great buy in his scenario because Rice is going to be suspended next year. He's dealing with the injury, and it makes a lot of sense to buy a name like that. How about I
think I like a Malik Neighbors or something, or Brock Bowers, or
Neighbors. You could probably just get straight up, and I would do that. Yeah, I mean, look, that's fine if that's a possibility. I mean, Neighbors, yeah. What about trading it for like a Marvin plus a Hall? If you really want to maximize value. So like Marvin and 2 firsts.
Yeah.
Right? I think that could be a great return.
A new episode of Severance is now on Apple TV.
Oh my god. I
just got a notification.
Cannot wait. How about
Ellen is freaking loving that.
Is she loving it?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but
how about we go Roma Dunze, and 2 future firsts like the Marvin Harrison deal. Maybe we could even add a little bit more. Like you could ask for the 202 as well. Which could make sense. Yeah, like that's the kind of idea I'd like to work out there. I think that's probably most of the teams that would make sense.
Yeah, I do like that, and honestly, that's the hole that you get for the 101, and I think, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I feel really good with these trades.
Who has the 104? Let's start to look at a tier down from the 103. So Hughes has the 104. Can you grab? I mean, would you tear down one spot for Pacheco and try and sell Pacheco later on, or is that not enough? Would you? Would you go Ridley, or is it just not enough? And it's not
I
a good
would
fit?
just go. I personally would try Ridley because I think Pacheco can be done after this year. He might not even be an option by the time you want to do this.
Right. All right, 103. Let's try and find the team that has the 105. Let's see. Well, Sharky has the 106. That's the team right underneath. So let's look at the team with the 106 first. They have.
Well, you could do something like, I know you like Diami, 106 and Diami. Well, actually, no. This is the bigger tier down. Never mind.
Yeah, that's nowhere near enough.
Nowhere near enough.
It would have to be. It'd have to be a future first. I mean, I don't think they'd be willing to give you. Of course, it goes without saying, if they give you Ladd or Marvin here, then it's a no-brainer, right? But I just don't think that's possible. In fact, we'd probably have to add the 204 at least to make this happen, which I'd be willing to do. But again, I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's possible either.
All right, and the 105 is the last thing I'd like to tear down to, which is owned by Top Gun. And they really don't have much, but I mean, the 110, the 105 plus the 110 plus a future second, and maybe you do a pick swap and you send a future third.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be okay with having the feature 26 first as well, just because this team is not good. Well, I mean, it has Saquon, Lamar, Goff. But like wide receivers, who?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, that's an option too. All right. I think that's kind of the direction I take this team. There's nothing wrong with sticking with Ashton Genty. Like, if Ashton Genty, let's say, goes top 10 to the Bears, or he actually goes 12 to the Cowboys, I don't see a scenario where Genty loses value. The 101 loses value going into the NFL draft, so you might want to hold it until the draft because I think he's going to land in a spot that we're happy with, and he's going to get good draft capital. And then while there are no more questions, let's say he is a Cowboy, I think you could sell him for a pretty decent return either way. But you know, in this world, let's just say you sold the 101 and let's just say you got Marvin Harrison. All right. You got the Harrison deal and then you traded back from the 103 and, you know, you got the 106 in the future first. And then with the 107, you got you got Travion Henderson. And with the 106 that you got in that deal, you got Luther Burden. So you're just adding all these assets and you're adding a bunch of future draft capital as well. You're really setting yourself up for success because you don't really need to capitalize on these players until 2027. With all due respect, you're just not even competing until the year 2027. The last thing I'll say is Mark Andrews is definitely a name that you could sell. I'd say any first in any year, but you're probably not going to get that now. So he might be worth holding until next season. But what if you attach like Mark Andrews, the 204 and the 207 for a future first?
Yeah, I mean,
to a tight and needy team.
Yeah, I'll be okay with that. I mean, like hell, even
Fantasy
I'll
Cloud,
be okay with
for
that.
example, right? Can you get there first? Can you get what's a Hertz donut? Can you get there first, right? So, yeah. Which two trades do you like the most?
For me, let's do. I mean, I personally really love doing like the 103, moving back and getting the future 24 first.
Okay.
Oh, we have one of those already.
Yeah.
We actually have one of those, so that's fine. Let's do Lad then.
Yeah.
And let's give him some variety of getting Mark in the first there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the Rice trades as well. But anyway, that is the pathway and that's the game plan. Mac Money, that's how we would do it. I mean, you know, we gave your team a D, but just know I think you're doing everything right. I think you're on the right path. I think you're doing the rebuild the right way. And
yeah,
the fact that your quarterback room already looks like that, you are miles ahead of most rebuilds.
I agree. So you will be receiving your digital customized playbook within 48 to 72 hours. So we appreciate the support with all the information that you saw here on the chalkboard. You'll get that in the digital version. But we appreciate the support. Thank you so much, man.
Hey, look at this. I mean, we're on top of things. This was only submitted 23 hours ago. We are on top of our tings right now, aren't we?
Hey. Tings.
WG says if Sleeper removed names, CDs, nuts, variants would eliminate. Yeah.
Honestly, like they would. Gosh. Maybe I feel like that has to be like the number one like most Googled team name. Like what's a team name? CD's nuts.
My Balzac Ertz is pretty
Yeah.
Is pretty popular too. Words. All right, Driston is next, and the last team we'll look at for today. Let me pull up his chalkboard here, but it's a 1 quarterback 12 team start 8. So 1 quarterback start 8. Smaller starting lineup. Meat and potatoes is what we would call that starting lineup. It's your blue collar, hard working American. 2 flex spots.
9 to 5, man. 9 to 5.
Your depth isn't as important. Your Josh Downs don't mean that much. Your Amon-Ra St. Browns are at a premium. And there's no context submitted. And there is no message either. So we're going to raw dog this thing. And his team name is Tua Infinity and Keon, which is actually
that is someone that took time and said, "What does my team look like?"
Yeah.
He didn't go straight to Google and say, "Ha, see these nuts." No,
yeah.
he took 3 players on his team and made a team name out of it.
There's intention behind it, isn't there? And ultimately, I think your team will see that sort of leadership, and I think they'll fight harder for you. This might be a Dan Quinn situation, you know?
There actually might be a Dan Quinn situation, but we appreciate you. We appreciate you. So let's have a look at this team. 5. You're ranked 5 out of 12.
One quarterback,
Once again,
remember.
one quarterback, meat and potatoes. Looking at the quarterback position, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence. We could potentially sell one of these quarterbacks without even looking at the rest of the team, because obviously he's one quarterback, but maybe there's a team out there that does need somebody that they can use.
Yeah, if you can sell May, I'd hold Daniels, but if you can sell May, we can make some moves.
Phenomenal quarterback. Room at the running back position, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Tank Bigsby, and the list goes on. So you have that Seattle backfield locked up, but not too much right after that. Wide receivers, remember you can start up to 4 wide receivers in this league. T. Higgins, Jordan Addison, Mike Evans, Keon Coleman with Jalen Coker, and the rest of the list with Jake Ferguson and Noah Fant. Okay, you do have some decent draft capital. You do have your 26 first. You have 2 25 first round picks at the 102 and the 105.
Draft capital grade, probably A-, but overall team grade, I'm going to be kind of harsh, because you really, outside of Jaden Daniels, do not have like a top 5 player at any position. I probably would put this C- or D+. I think D+ might be more fitting. Am I being too harsh?
I would say C-.
Okay, let's go C-.
I think there's good foundation. I think he has.
I mean, let's think through the starting lineup though. Daniels, Ken Walker, no one at RB2. Higgins, Addison will start. I guess Ferguson, then Evans, and then you still need to start another player. Who is that?
Well, I guess with the draft capital.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, like you can definitely get 2 players here, and that changes it up. Like you get your running back at the 102 hypothetically, and then you get another wide receiver at the 105. You're like, oh shit, I'm contending.
Yeah. I think the only untouchable here is Jaden Daniels. There's not
Jaden Daniels and maybe, actually, just Jaden
maybe
Daniels.
Your future first. Holds. I like Coker as a hold. Keon.
Yeah. Jalen Coker,
I don't think
Coleman.
there is another one I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
Isaac, actually, you can add Isaac Harindo. I'd like to hold him. And at this point, like, Tillman is worth holding. I think you can drop Jermaine Burton. He's just got a weird situation going on right now. I don't really want to drop anyone else.
I think look, I'm going to put another name here. I think it just depends on if they do make a move in off season, but it's Keyshawn Booty. Let's just say they don't draft anyone.
But
he did progress. If they don't draft anyone, then you keep him. If they draft 2 wide receivers or Ted McMillan and just Ted McMillan, then I think he's okay to drop. Just confirmation.
As far as your pathway, I think this is about as close as a full rebuild.
I was going to say, okay, you're going full rebuild?
I mean,
actually,
it's not a full rebuild. That's harsh. Like we're in the middle of mediocrity here as a team,
right? Which is fair. So like, this is where you can say, okay, you're in the middle of the pack. You have a young quarterback already. You don't really have young wide receivers, young running backs. Do you sell them and just go
1 year punt?
1 year punt.
Yeah, let's
and think about next year, because that's what we can do. Or Or you can just invest in it with your picks.
There's a chance this is a sleeper because
that's what I'm saying, and become a sleeper.
Okay, so this is the definition of an in or out team, which means when you're watching this, you need to make a call because let's play out this world. Daniels, Ken Walker at the 102. You find a starting running back that you love. You trade it for Saquon Barkley, right? Then at wide receiver, you have Higgins, Addison, Ferguson, I guess, and at the 105, you draft a Bird in or something. You can put a roster together where you can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're seriously going to win. I mean, if you look at some of these other teams, for example, this guy's going to start Lamar Jackson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving, Jefferson, Brian Thomas, Sam Laporta, Drake London, and Jonathan Taylor.
All right. He has the 101. This guy is.
And he has Ashton Jeanty.
That is the definition of Thanos.
Mm-hmm. You got another guy here who has Josh Allen, Mixon, McCaffrey, Chase, Lamb, Neighbors, DJ Moore, Bowers. All right, you're not beating these two teams. I mean, just those two teams alone. How about the guy who has Kyler, Bijan, Brees, Marvin, Adunze, Smith, McBride? It's just there's probably teams that are ranked below you that have a better starting lineup as well, if I were to guess. So it's not being harsh. It's just being realistic. I mean, this guy has Burrow, Saquon, Gibbs, Jacobs, Cook. I don't know. I really think, we'll call it in or out. I probably would punt this and be realistic with where I am. Which means I'd be looking at potentially moving Ken Walker.
I mean, you're moving everyone, essentially. You're moving Ken. You're moving T. You're moving Mike. You're moving Drake May. The only person you're keeping on this team are your first-round picks and Jaden Daniels.
I would keep T until he signs a long-term deal. I definitely would agree with you with Mike Evans as a move. You said Drake May, which sounds counterintuitive, but we just don't need those two quarterbacks. Those are really the three that you move if you're going to go and rebuild this. But if you stick and pick at the 102, I mean, you really need running back, but I think you can get that to 105. I don't know. I probably would trade back from this spot like I always do, but this is the same range that we've been talking and discussing with everyone. It's these players. Your Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, McMillan, Burden. You get two of these names if you stick and pick. Let's say you went for one at each position. So you got McMillan and then you came back with Caleb Johnson. That's a fine combo. That definitely improves your starting lineup, but you're one injury to your running back room away from being in a bad position again. You've also got the second round where you can try and replenish your running backs. I definitely would try and hit on running backs with that second round pick, no matter what we say rest of this video. But then at the 102, in order to maximize value, I would like to trade back from that pick because I view it as a huge tier, right? So for example, the 102, and I mean let's have a look at the teams here. Who has the 103?
Let's see.
The 104 is Won't You Be My Neighbor? So let's start there. So the 104 plus DJ Moore is probably the only name that makes sense and would incentivize you and wouldn't be too unrealistic. I mean, you could also go like this range where you go, all right, I'll give you the 104, give me a future first, and I'll also give you the 205, right? I mean, that's the other path if that guy is wanting to move up, which again, not everybody's going to want to tier up. A lot of people like me want to tier down in this class. The 103 is Stroud Goes Wild. Would you go McMillan and the 103?
Yeah, I would. 100% I would.
You could also try... I mean, I would definitely do it for the 110. And I probably would do it for the 202 and the 203 as well. So there's quite a few options there, actually, if that guy wants to consolidate his assets as well. All right, so we have the 105. Let's look for the 106.
106. Let's see.
Waiver wire warrior. I don't see anything working outside of a future first. Unless you see something I don't.
Yeah. For the 102, I think no one's going to give up Jackson or...
No.
I'm just going to give up Jackson. I mean, look, if you could, I would do the 102 for the 106 and Jackson, but no way.
Who has the 107? Did we already... I didn't even see the 107 on any of these teams.
Let me see if I'll have a look.
Oh, it's on Won't You Be My Neighbors. So, I mean, would you do the 107 in DJ Moore if they won't do the 104? I think I would.
I would say, like, if they have, like, a 27 pick, like a 27...
You'd rather get a 27 first than DJ.
I just don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, this team is pretty decent. I mean, actually, no. I actually would rather get a 27 first because I don't believe... If I'm looking at this team in 2027, where is DJ Moore then? Where is Christian McCaffrey then? Where is Joe Mixon then? So this team might not be a team that is competing at that time.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I really like this plan. That's all your tear down options. Let's look at Ken Walker. Let's try and find a team that has running back needs but is ready to compete. So, for example,
Won't You Be My Neighbors is
Neighbors is perfect. Ken Walker, could you... I mean, I would do either of those picks for Ken Walker.
Yeah, I would as well.
Be even more interesting if you could somehow sneak your way into like Mixon in the 107 or something, and then sell Mixon later on. You know, maybe you add a late pick like the 301.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Stroud Goes Wild could use some help. Tracy plus the 110.
Yeah.
Probably they're overpaying, so again, you need to add the 301. You could also just do the 110 and the 203 or something. You know.
Yeah, I like that.
How about Waiver Wire Warrior? Not a good fit.
Yeah, it's not a good fit either. Maserati.
I mean, I don't hate the idea of like a Benson in a first from a team. Who has Trey Benson? You know what I mean? Like a future first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this guy probably has no need for Ken Walker, so that's not going to work. We also talked about Mike Evans. I think any first in any year, you know, and you target a contender, no one else is going to want him. That's pretty simple. Drake May, if there's a team out there that's a contender, but they don't have a quarterback they love, maybe, you know, like the Stroud Goes Wild. Could you get Zay Flowers for Drake May?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Could you get the 110?
I'm okay with that as well. What about... We got Michael Penix. Big TD teams, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford.
It's just so hard to find one quarterback team who needs quarterback. But yeah, the team you mentioned is not bad. I mean, would you...
Yeah.
I guess the 111.
The 111.
And maybe...
I would just do a 26 first then, if that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Play my chances with getting a higher pick.
I'll say any 2027 first. But I would also do like the 111 plus the 211. But yeah, I think that's kind of your main options there. I really like the idea of the DJ Moore deals. I think 107 is very realistic.
Yeah, I'm okay with that one.
I love
Jets
the
expect to hire Liam Cohen as head coach, bearing any unforeseen. I mean, why have they been saying that this year?
what?
Like every report about a head coach, they're expected to hire this head coach.
Well, I think the reason they had to say it for this one because it was so
No, they've been saying it. They said it for Aaron Glenn. They said it for
right.
who was the new head coach that just got hired somewhere else as well. They said it for all head coaches so far this year. I feel like that's a thing they had to do.
Travis Etienne might have just had his entire career revived. Anyway, you there?
Yeah, I was just thinking like either his whole tears revived or he's just gonna make Tank Bigsby a fucking beast.
I don't know.
Imagine.
I don't think so, but maybe.
I'm not saying he
I really like the Tracy deal as well with Ken.
Yeah, and let's just say let's put one with another player, maybe like Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Let's do Drake May. Let's do Drake May.
Yeah.
Drake May and Zay Flowers, if you can get one of those guys. Or actually, no, Drake May and any 27 first. I think that's just a better deal than
yeah.
Zay Flowers first.
And then the other deal I'd like to highlight is probably the McMillan one, where you just go back one spot.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, that is my honest assessment of the team.
Obviously, you're gonna have to make the decision on whether you want to be in or out. That's why we have this as a pathway, so you can understand where we can go. If you do want to go in and not out with the example that we just gave you, you do have the stick and pick option where, you know what, I'm going to go out and try and win. Let's see if one of these young running backs are going to take something. Maybe you sell the 105 for another wide receiver, and then you're in.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have an option to compete.
Yeah.
But it just all depends on what you're going to do. But we appreciate you. We appreciate the support.
You ultimately have to ask yourself, will I beat risky jizness?
Yeah.
But appreciate you, man. That was as honest a review as we can offer. So I hope it was helpful. And like Badaki always says, your team playbook, it will be in your inbox within 72 hours. Obviously, completely customized to your league and everything we talked about today. And if you guys are out there and you're watching it, you want your team playbook, it's very simple. You either become a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND, you get the team playbook, you get our 2025 work report, all of the premium tools on the website, or you can purchase one a la carte if you're on a different promo code. So we appreciate you guys big time. Knocked out a lot of those reviews today. And
a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's
got a couple other people on the queue for sure.
Yeah, which we'll get to you guys next week. But we are getting through this queue every week pretty consistently, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, love.
All right, guys. Enjoy your night.